All right, and I will call a meeting of the Conservation Commission for West Bridgewater for September 15th open, and we have a quorum. So our first order of business on the agenda is to call for approval for the September 1st minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. We have a new public hearing for 19 Pearl Road, and I will read that into the record just so we have it officially on it. Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law is amended, and the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing through remote participation on September 15th at 6:30 for a notice of intent for proposed construction of an in-ground swimming pool with patio retaining wall and regrading within a bordering vegetated wetland at 19 Pearl Road. And we are open. And do we have somebody presenting?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Niall Zager from Zenith Consulting Engineers. How are you?
Good evening. Good. Thank you.
Great. So what you see before you is a proposal for an 18 by 40 pool.
Niles,
yes.
Are you presenting or do you want me to present the plan?
Oh, if you would like to present, you're more than welcome to, John.
I think I've given you the opportunity. Yeah, I've got multiple presenters, so if you can call it up. Or don't you have that called up on your computer?
I have it on my laptop, so just bear with me. Hold on here.
I can get it real quick, I think.
Oh, I'm sure I can pull it up.
Yep, there it is.
There we go.
Perfect. So everybody can see it? Great. So again, for the record, now Zager from Zenith, here on behalf of Brian Hahn at 19 Pearl Road. We're basically looking to install an 18 by 40 swimming pool with associated patio, retaining wall, and grading in the rear of the yard. The existing yard is already all lawn, so there will be no vegetation that has to be removed as part of this proposal. The wetlands that you see are actually a wetland that was approved by the commission in the original subdivision. I believe your agent went out there and confirmed it. So we basically looked at it was from an old solar engineering plan, and we just went out there and just confirmed. So the line that you see on here is the plant from an old plan. We're not doing any work, 50-foot no touch. We are proposing a silt sock along that buffer, as well as we're proposing, I believe, 3 of the conservation placards that are required along that buffer zone to ensure that the applicant and homeowner are aware that there's no work to be done within that buffer zone. We are also showing an access way, which would be on the southerly side of the, I believe on the southerly side of the lot, which would be right here. We are showing a stockpile area outside the buffer zone on the side of the pool here. All the grading that we're doing, we are not going to add any stormwater onto any of the abutting properties, and we're not going to dam up. We're basically creating a high point behind the pool, and we're going to direct the stormwater around the pool and off into the direction that it goes now. Other than that, all the areas, once the construction is complete, will be loamed and seeded for stabilization. And I think that is really about it. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
How high is the retaining wall that's going to be put in?
It's not going to be more than like 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall. It's okay. Very, very minimal.
John, any questions?
I have no issue on it. I went out and met with the homeowner this afternoon, and everything looks like there's not going to be any issue.
All right, any other commissioners, anybody else, comments, questions?
No.
No.
All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. I will entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions for this project.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Niles.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Yep, you too.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have a continued public hearing for 45 South Elm Street. And that is for both the Wetland Protection Act, the town bylaw, and the stormwater management bylaw. And we had to continue it from the last meeting due to the posting. So I believe we have the DEP file and we can open it up. And John, do we have a presenter?
Yes, Terry McGovern.
I'm here, I'm present. And I can
Thank
share
you.
the screen if you like. I have the file and I'm able to share the screen.
Yeah, you're eligible to share.
Okay, give me 1 second to pull that up. And okay, and now just let me go back here. Okay, hopefully everybody can see this. I just jumped off another hearing, so I'm hoping everybody,
Yeah, we can see it.
okay.
Yep, we got it.
Okay, for the record, Terry McGovern from Setback and Taylor Engineers, representing Greg Montesano, the owner of the property at 45 South Elm. And what we're proposing is a replacement of a laundry pit, some sort of a tank or cesspool with an overflow pit that exists in the backyard, pretty much up, I won't say up against the wetlands, but that part of South Elm Street with the houses built in the late 40s, early 50s, that wetland area runs just behind a lot of those houses. And the wetland line was delineated by Brookman Row. There were a total of 6 flags shown here in blue, the extent of the wetland line running around the back, midway down and in back. And what we're proposing to do is to install a new 1,500-gallon tank, septic tank directly behind the house. We will demolish and fill in the existing pit and laundry pit, or cesspool and laundry pit. So that tank will be installed right behind the house, probably about, I would say, 75 feet from the wetland. Then we'll be going to a system consisting of ARC 36 plastic chambers, which will be set into a little bit of an embankment across the back of the yard. And the closest point from the wetlands to the septic system is 52 feet to the north and 55 feet to the west, both of which meet Title V requirements. Those chambers will be all within existing disturbed lawn area. We're also placing a membrane around the outside of the system at 5 foot top. There's a limit of remove and replace where we'll be taking top and subsoil and bringing in some clean sand material. The underlying material is in fact all sand. It's beautiful material. beyond the edges of our grading, showing an orange line that we're going to place straw wattle around the edges of all of our disturbance, which will be just inside of the 50-foot setback. And we're proposing the squares that you see on the screen are the conservation no disturb markers in that area. Grade will be returned pretty close to the original grade. We'll have a little bit of terracing in the backyard, but again, we're working entirely within existing lawn area, going back to that shed. And actually the tree line runs across the back of the shed. So we're pretty much right in the existing cleared area. And we are maintaining 5 foot of separation to groundwater. We're making sure that we're not asking for any relief in that respect. We cannot get the system into the front yard. Obviously, these houses in this particular area are right on top of the street. And in order to maintain 20 foot off of the foundation and 10 foot off the street line, you can sometimes get reduction those setbacks, but to fit the size system into that area would be pretty much impossible. We'd also have to relocate the water and a gas line, so we don't, and replumb the house, so we don't really have any convenient area to go in the front yard. The system was approved at Board of Health last Thursday. The couple of local upgrades that we needed, actually, I don't think we did have any on here. Basically, Board of Health did approve that last Thursday. That's right, West Bridgewater is Title V, so we didn't have any. So, in effect, we're repairing and replacing an old system that dates back to the 1940s that now probably sits in groundwater with a fully Title V in West Bridgewater Board of Health septic system. And it's all in the area. Thank you. I'm open to any questions.
Okay.
I'll leave this up for the moment.
Okay, John, do you have anything?
I have no issues.
All right, any other commissioners' questions?
Is this an opportunity to perhaps stake the 50 foot?
So I'll step in and carry on that one. Mo, the 50-foot setback is the blue line that you see in the plan.
Yeah, let me zoom back in a little bit. I had zoomed out briefly. The 50 foot is this arc that slices through here. So we have the 50-foot arc that comes basically, we have a blue arc for the 50
Yeah,
foot
I
and
see.
another
Yeah.
one for the 100 foot that comes through the house. So where my cursor is moving along right now is the 50 foot, pretty much through the, out of the tree line to about 10-ish feet in front of the shed.
So
That is all existing
Yes.
yard and lawn area that's been used.
So I asked them, because of the fact that the yard already encroaches into that 50-foot buffer, I asked them to put the conservation markers along the existing tree line or back of the yard.
Okay. And I assume that's an old shed?
That shed's been there for quite a while. It's in good shape. They basically just keep a push mower and some small things in it. It's right at the edge of the existing lawn.
Okay.
John, my only question would be, do they need a stockpile area for work material, and do they need a dewatering area at all?
With the good gravel, they don't have a water table problem. And the erosion control barrier will prevent them from going too close to the wetlands with any stockpile. So it's such a constricted site that
Right.
they're probably not going to stockpile much at all there. They'll
You
probably,
won't be able to because of the access also.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions. Any other commissioners?
No,
Right, hearing
definitely,
none,
definitely an improvement
Yeah,
on the property.
Yep, and it's a tight spot, so,
Yes,
hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
second,
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
aye,
I will entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions with the markers and granting a general stormwater bylaw permit as well.
I'll make the motion.
second,
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
aye.
So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, folks. Have a good
You're
evening.
welcome.
You too. Okay, John, looks like next we have Lamp Post Estates and order of conditions extension request.
All right. Bear with me for a second while I call up the plan. So this is the Lamp Post Estates subdivision that's located at the intersection of Lincoln Street and South Elm Street. It was approved 3 years ago on the 19th of this month. The developer of Luka Estates off of Brooks Place has a purchase and sales agreement and has recorded the order of conditions just recently. And because of the stay in the, because of the emergency declaration by the governor, the expiration date of the 19th of this month wouldn't occur anyway. And so the developer recorded the order of conditions and is just asking for an extension anyway, just to, in case the order is lifted in the next month or so. And so he just wants to be in place to start working on this. And I will call up another, this is the general layout of, I don't know if it's too small to see on your screen, but the wetlands are out here.
Yep.
And so it kind of goes right down the middle between the two wetlands. And I have another plan that I can call up that shows the actual lots and how they're going to be constructed.
John, has he expressed how long of an extension he's looking for?
Well, I think he was looking for 3, and it's up to the commission. So he's basically going to be starting just like as if it was something just approved as of today, let's say. So it's going to take him a while to build it. It may not take him 3 years, but here is the subdivision. So the road comes in off of South Elm Street, just a little bit around the corner from Lincoln. And there'll be a lot right on the corner with a drain basin in this corner of the lot. The next lot on the left has a basin right here and just a little bit of an area for a yard. The next lot up on that same side has a little bit more room because this dashed line that you see here is the 50-foot buffer. And the order of conditions requires this strip the 50-foot strip to be a conservation easement and have it recorded before any construction on the subdivision begins. So he can't start construction, clearing the road or doing anything without recording that conservation easement. And so we haven't written it up because they have to present us a plan to go by. So you can see it's going to be one of those subdivisions that's packed in there around the resource areas. And as typical for subdivisions that we've seen recently, they're not leaving a lot of room in the backyards for normal residential use, such as pools, gardens, enough area to kick the ball around for the kids or to throw a ball around for the kids and have a swing set. We discussed at 153 Scotland Street last week. Well, even though we've had some issues with the actual property, those lots are deep and long, and it gives plenty of room for a family to be able to use. And in these types of subdivisions are, as far as I'm concerned, ridiculous in terms of affording people full use of their land. And so after saying that, I'll get off my soapbox and say I won't criticize the zoning any further tonight. But as you remember, we had a proposed bylaw change that we were looking for, and there were some issues that people brought up, and it was thought better to withdraw it from the town meeting. But I think we should take another look at it and set it up again and try to appease the various people that weren't in favor of it. And we're not going to get 100% in favor, obviously, but this type of subdivision, I understand that the developers want to get as many lots as they can because it adds value, but what does it do to the residential buyer? And then what does it do to us to try to enforce the regulations and turn out being the bad guys because they didn't know they had all these restrictions on their land, and they wouldn't have bought it if they knew it, that kind of thing. And then we end up compromising all over in all kinds of directions to try to accommodate them. So I thought I was going to stop yammering on about my problem with the zoning, and I continued on, so I'll stop at this point. To get back to the point of the extension, I think that we could probably reasonably expect him to take 2 years to build this. And so we could give him a 2-year extension and then revisit it if it's still a situation a year at a time after that. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be inclined to go with a 2-year, especially considering he's already had 3, and the economy hasn't been in a downturn. And so builders have been busy and they've been able to develop parcels. One thing I was wondering, John, that we might want to revisit is requiring them to put the conservation markers or a temporary conservation marker in before construction begins. I know it's a pain and they can knock them over and they can hit them, but looking at some of them, like even the one on South Street, they put the driveway in and everything else, and there were no markers done yet. If they were in ahead of time, then buyer beware. Somebody looks at it, they can say, well, what do those markers mean? And they're out there ahead of time.
What if we ran a fence along the whole 50?
Well, there's already an order of conditions, so we can't change them too much. But I mean, we can't change it at all unless he asks for an amendment.
Oh, okay. I don't recall this.
No, I remember it. It was a lot of give and take and tight one to begin with. But I'm just thinking, looking at this one, as John brought up, the problem with the zoning, that if we start requiring the markers ahead of time.
At least, yeah. Very visible. Right.
Right, just like recording the conservation easement before construction begins, then it's right up front in front of everybody that's on the site. I know they try to put the silt fence in and make sure that stays, but they get moved during construction or come down in a storm, or if it's a 3 or 4 year project, things happen. So that would be my only comment going forward, that we might want to.
And we will still deal with each house as it's being built, is that right?
Yes, he's got to file for each one of those houses that are within 100 feet. Some of them are a little over 100 feet, but we have to have a stormwater hearing on each one anyway. So, we can throw those requirements in under the stormwater. I think I've got the order of conditions, so I'm going to call that up.
All right.
Okay, so this is the order of conditions for the subdivision.
And again, before he comes before us for each one of the individual houses, we might want to think about having those markers put in before they start doing any of the work. As far as the subdivision itself and the roads and the layout, we've already issued that order, but
Yeah.
something
Right.
to think about. I mean, it just,
Well, I don't disagree with that at all.
Oh,
I mean, I know they're going to give us pushback saying, well, they're going to get in the way of construction, or they're going to get damaged or hit. Well, just like a silt fence, that's there too, and they have to keep and maintain that. So I'm thinking it's not that much of a hardship to
No, even if they
fix them.
fell down, you stick them back in again.
oh, number 25 does require the conservation markers in prior to construction.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So they'll be there for all of the potential buyers to say, oh, what are those?
I mean, not that they will pay attention to it, but at least it's one extra level that we've already got in place. So
Right. So I'm going to recommend a 1 year with going back and taking a look at it as needed.
a 1 year or
2 year
2
or
year?
2 years.
2 year, right? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to give a 2 year.
Hold it for a second. Greg, go ahead, Greg.
Hi,
Hi.
Greg Bonovitz, Borderland Engineering. I'm here on behalf of the developer, Mr. Andrunas. And I just think a 2 year could be a little bit too short, just judging by Luka states. The construction out there, I can tell you, we started, initially started the survey work for the silt fence a little over 2 years ago. So I know that it would need another extension if it was just a 2 year.
I'm more inclined to say the 2 year and then grant them a 1 year after that to see how the project goes. Where they've already had 3. I mean, that's giving them 6, and who knows if they're going to come back in and ask again after the 6. If we did 2 and then they came back and said it's going to take us another 2, you could give 2 at that point. But giving 3 right off the bat seems where nothing's even started.
I think
I mean,
it might be a different scenario at this point with now that they're actually ready to start construction. Prior to this, they weren't even anywhere close to ready to start construction. There was a title issue on the property, so they had to sort that out, and things got held up, and I think and now also with the workload for construction companies and everyone else, it's there's a lot of workload out there, so it kind of delays things even more. Just difficult to find building supplies and labor in general right now. So that's why I would think it would just be worthwhile just granting the 3 like it was pretty much a brand new order of conditions.
Well,
Anybody comments?
I mean, it isn't that much of a big deal to come back and ask for another extension, but that way we keep an eye on it and see what's going on. So I'd be in favor of the 2.
Anybody else want to render opinion? If not, then I'll entertain a motion for a 2-year extension.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, and I guess you're, Greg, here to also Luke Drive,
Yes, yep, Luka States.
okay? And we have a request for certificate of compliance on that as well. And we have some other individual certificates, John. Do them individually or?
Yeah, I think start with number 1, Luke Drive.
All right, that's a certificate of compliance.
Greg, do you want to bring up a plan, or do you need me to do that?
Yeah, I wish I was able to. I don't want to say I'm not able to, but I haven't tried it out yet. Already today, I've been having technical issues with printers and stuff like that, so I don't want to press my luck anymore.
Good old printers.
Yes.
You need a printer specialist in every office.
Okay, so this is number 1, Luke Drive. It's actually lot number 7. It's the first one in on the right-hand side as you come in. This is the proposed plan showing the house, the septic system over here, roof recharge area here and here. The street drainage goes down an easement towards a infiltration basin at the back, and then out of the basin are a linear series of wetland plants that will be put in the 50-foot buffer, and we granted that waiver as part of the compromise with the planning board, who didn't feel that they wanted the front yards where there are some stormwater basins on some of the other lots to have all these plants and have to have it maintained either by the town or by the owners. So we felt we needed some type of treatment other than just sediment basins. And so the commission agreed to allow having plantings put in the 50-foot buffer out to the wetland, which is right in this area here. So that's what was a proposal, and there is a proposed chain link fence that's, or a fence that was along the back of the yard, and there is a stone boulder type retaining wall, part of it as well. So that's what the proposal was, and I'll stop sharing that and show you what the as-built shows. Hold on for a second. I've got to go elsewhere to find that. Well, I'm sorry, I don't seem to be able to find it just quickly here. So,
I can try doing it.
yeah, if you can call it up,
Alright.
the as-built.
All right, if I just can disconnect it, I'll just try reconnecting. Getting close here. All right, I got the as-built, and of course it's coming up sideways. Let me see how to, I can't rotate it. I can try, and I never had to share my screen yet, so.
Is it a PDF?
Yeah,
In view, you can rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise.
I know. I'm on my iPad though, so it won't work.
Oh, I see.
It's,
I see.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
yeah,
That's okay.
So-
We'll tip our heads.
yeah. I can tell you, approximately what the things that didn't get constructed yet are. Right on the letter there, there's the bioretention plantings have not been installed, and then the fence has not been installed yet, and also the posts were not installed yet. So those are the items that are on the order of conditions that are outstanding.
And what is the time frame for getting them completed?
They're purchased. I know the plantings were purchased. Might have been having trouble finding fence available right now. But I think it's going to be within the next few weeks, 2 weeks or so.
And you need the certificate of compliance for a closing?
Yeah.
Well, John, I have a feeling I know what your recommendation is going to be. We've had some of these before, so I'll let you go ahead and.
Yeah, I recently had a fence put in on my property and it was almost $2,000. And so I'm going to recommend with the unfinished items that Greg has mentioned to issue a full certificate of compliance, but require surety of $5,000. And it would be released upon the completion of the as-built showing a new as-built or revised as-built showing the items in as required.
The only way we can be sure it'll be done, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I mean, I'd go along with that. Anybody else? Questions, comments?
No.
All right, hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance with a surety bond for 1 Loop Drive.
For 5,000,
5,000.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right. Do we want to do 3 Loop Drive, John, or?
Let's do number 3. The prospective new homeowner is on and is indicated as Jeremy on the screen. So I'll call up the plan for the septic system on his lot. So here, lot number 7 was the one we just looked at. So this is right beside the one that we just discussed. this lot has, this is the proposed septic system and light site, and it has a fence all the way around it, except for this portion over here, which is a small section of a stone retaining wall. This does not have any plantings indicated, and so and it's because this right here is just basically a culvert that handles the flow from one side of the street, overland flow to the other. It's not stormwater, and that's why we didn't require the plantings in this easement here. It has the proposed roof drains for the downspouts, and you'll notice on this section of the lot, there's a stormwater basin that entails a sediment basin and an overflow into an infiltration basin with a beehive drain in the bottom of it that connects it to the drain system further down the street. So that's what was proposed. And I think on this one I have the as-built. And of course, I don't. So hold on for a second.
No, and it's in that email I sent you earlier, if you can find
Yeah.
that.
What do you know?
I can do it the old fashioned way here. I just put my camera right on my computer screen.
There you go.
There we go.
Sometimes old school works.
Yeah. So yeah, the as-built is pretty similar to the proposed, and there's 90 feet of fence along this area right here that needs to be installed, and then the PVC pipes with the signs need to be installed along the boulder retaining wall right through here.
Okay, so it's basically just the fence and the posts left on this one.
Same thing.
Well, I'm not
This
sure
is
that
just
we need the
90 feet
5,000.
of fence. Yeah.
90 feet of fence, would
Mhm.
$2,000 be appropriate as a surety bond?
Are those cash or bond?
It basically, it can be a cash check. It's just held
Yes.
in escrow
yes.
until it's done and the as-bilt's finished.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what kind of fence it even is. Or...
I mean, the last one was probably twice that size, I'm thinking.
Okay, all right.
So, anybody have any other questions, comments?
Yeah,
Okay, hearing none, then I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance with a $2,000 surety bond for 3 Luke Drive.
I'll make a
Make that
motion.
motion. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
I'm back. I lost my
You're
internet.
back. That's okay. We got through it. We made a motion to issue the certificate of compliance with a $2,000 surety bond for that one.
2,000?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, and who made the motion?
Mo.
Steve.
We made it.
Seconded by Mo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I somehow lost.
That's okay. Technology does weird things. So next, I assume we'll look at Luka Estates, Luke Drive, roadway and drainage. Is that the next one, John?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right. That road is not constructed to its completion. There seems to be some changes that were made by the developer from the approved plan and never got our approval for changing it. As an example, the stormwater basin that I pointed out on that lot number 3, Luke Drive, the one you just approved, there's supposed to be a 12-inch concrete pipe that goes into that sediment basin, and I found in my inspection that there were plastic pipes in smaller diameter. I didn't have a measure tape with me today, but there's 2 pipes coming in, and that was not authorized. So I don't recommend issuing a certificate of compliance for the roadway until the engineer who's working for the developer, and he's not the engineer who originally drew the plans. That was done by Pilling Engineering, and Greg has been working with the developer to construct the subdivision. So Greg was not the record engineer on this, but we've got to get to the bottom of why some things were done differently out there and get a little bit better handle on the completeness and sufficiency of the drainage, which is required anyway before we were to give any certificates. And we haven't seen an interim as-built as of yet. And usually we require something like that or a certification from the engineer that it's in compliance with the design. And I'm seeing non-compliance with the design. I know the planning board is holding a bond, and I'm sure they are. I haven't talked with the planning board, but Jeremy, the owner or prospective owner of number 3, has mentioned that his attorney isn't going to allow that closing to occur without a certificate of compliance and all the outstanding orders that are involved with this subdivision. So if that were the case, then I would recommend that the commission could issue a certificate on this with a surety that is sufficient enough to make sure this gets done and corrections are made or recalculations are submitted and that kind of thing. And so that would put a surety out at a pretty hefty number. I don't know if Greg, go ahead, Mo.
The idea, I'm sorry. I was going to say the idea being that if the job isn't completed per the design, who would hire to have it completed? Us or the town or?
So let's say, for example, that the developer just said, I'm not doing anything. And we are holding some money as well as the planning board is holding money. We could hire a third-party engineer to analyze what has actually been constructed and do a analysis of the performance of the stormwater carrying system and see if that engineer would be able to certify to the commission that it's going to work and work as designed. and we would use that bond money if the developer refused to do it or didn't care to do it. I believe that there's a good bunch of money that the planning board must be holding on it. And so the surety that the Conservation Commission would hold would just be that much more frosting on the cake to hold the developer's feet to the fire to make sure this all gets done. And I don't have any doubt about him. He's not that type of developer. But a lot of things got done out of sequence on this subdivision. And I've already mentioned it to Mr. Bonovitz that he and I are going to have to rein in his contractor, his developer on Lamppost Estates, if that is the next subdivision that he's going to do, and make sure all of the prior to construction things are completed so that we don't get ourselves into this situation, nor have people waiting to get into their houses with people waiting to buy their houses. So that's the only reason I feel that we need to do something to satisfy the attorney for Jeremy. And that's why I'm suggesting that we issue one, but we've got to come up with a number that seems to be enough to assure us that in case the planning board doesn't care, and I'm not saying they would, but let's just say they figured, oh, we looked at it and it looks good to us, and they were to release the money, we don't have anything in writing other than the planning board saying that they released their money. So Greg has raised his hand, so I don't know if, Mr. Chairman, you want him to say anything, or?
Well, I was just wanted to throw in there that we've seen other developments that we haven't gotten as-built because they've decided that's at the end and they didn't want to spend the money to get it done. And we've also seen the cost of everything in the last 2 to 3 years go up extremely high on certain portions of the development. And there's not money left to end up using it to finish the project because of expenses. But I'll let Greg talk.
I just wanted to basically restate that the planning board already has the bond for the roadway, and it would be like almost a double bond on the road to require items to be bonded twice.
Do you know how much it is?
It doesn't seem fair. No, I don't offhand.
So we would require, just as a surety on new subdivisions, and this one is before the policy went into effect, but we would require on a subdivision like this, $20,000 surety to make sure the developer asks for a certificate of compliance. And if the developer didn't, because typically developers don't ask for a certificate of compliance on the drainage part of the roadway. They only worry about the lots because they know the banks won't, in many cases, not approve the mortgage. So they're kind of forced to ask for the certificate. We would ask for a $20,000 surety, which would cover not only their filing the request, holding the public hearing, and having an as-built prepared by an engineer for the commission in case the developer didn't, and just, as you said, on one that we're very familiar with, did not even bother. And so I would recommend the 20,000. And the quicker the engineer and the developer finish it up, the quicker they can get their money back, both from the commission and from the planning board.
Yeah. Well, it's leverage that we need. So.
And after all, they're asking for we don't do partials, and they're asking for a certificate that would benefit the sale of the house on number 3. And it could also be the same for number 1, but I heard from the owner or prospective new owner on 3 that that's what is required. And we have one more certificate to issue as well on this particular subdivision. So that attorney had concerns over the 3 outstanding orders that need certificates. And in order to help them out, I think this is the only way to do it. And I understand Greg's concern about it not seeming fair, but we could just say, forget it. We could have said, forget it on all 3 of these, the number 1, number 3, Luke Drive, and we could also say, forget it on the subdivision road, and just let everybody swing in the wind and suffer the financial consequences. They would suffer the financial consequences of the commission not issuing the certificate. So I think we're doing the developer a big favor here. And the developer sold some of the lots to builders, and those builders really take on the same responsibility by acquiring the land without a certificate. And so we're really bailing out all of them, the buyers, the developer, and the builder. And for them to think that we're not doing them a favor by requiring some hefty bond amounts wouldn't seem to carry much weight as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, we're sticking our necks out, way out here to give us certificate of compliance on a project with a number of questions that haven't been completed. We haven't had a partial as-built or any real contact through it, why the changes were, and had them addressed yet. So, I mean, originally when I saw this come through, I was thinking of not issuing a certificate of compliance at all because of the lack of open items that still have to go through a punch list, and seeing how some of these other developments have been left high and dry, and people that buy these houses get stuck with it after the developer and everybody walks away.
We have a woman. We have a woman at the farm up off of Walnut Street. Her attorney, the attorney for the buyer, she sold the house. She was the first owner. The developer never got the subdivision certificate of compliance. So the attorney for the person who bought her home held out a sizable amount of money, and she didn't tell me how much, but it's a lot. And waiting for the as-built to get done for the whole subdivision. And the engineer who promised us as a commission and the planning board and the town that he was working on it is working on it, but he has really no one pushing him other than this poor lady who's on all this money, and she'll get it back eventually once the subdivision as-built is turned in and approved. But in the meantime, she's struggling without getting the full amount of money that she sold her house for. And that's not fair to her either. So I think you are right. We're putting our neck out on the line, and they can either give the surety and I'll hand them the certificate of compliance, or it sits there in our office and will never be issued until everything is done. So there's 2 choices. It sits there, or they give us the money and they can take it and record it and everybody's moving along in the right direction, or it can sit there in the office until everything's all done and everybody else has to struggle.
The other thing we have to worry about is the fact that if and when these developments ever become town roads and town property, if we don't have a corrected as-built, now the town's on the hook for the whole entire thing, when we should have had it to begin with. So
this is supposed to be a homeowners association type thing, but we know how those turn out.
We've already accepted one of those as a town road, so I'm not holding my breath that this won't happen either. I'm sorry, not the way the town meetings have accepted them lately. So I want it all up front.
Yeah, and if they move right along, we'll hand it back.
Yeah. So anybody have any other questions? If not, I'll go with John's recommendation and entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance with a $20,000 surety.
I'll make the motion.
Good.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
So the
We
last,
have the last one is a request for certificate of compliance for Luka State's invasive species removal.
all right, I'm going to bring that plan up. All right, so this is the plan that was approved before they even started the design of the subdivision. Here's Brooks Place over here. The entrance road for Luke Drive comes in here and with a cul-de-sac. And they, this was a open field for so many years, and the multi-flora rows overtook the field, and in order to get in there to do any work, they had to cut and do the perk test and cut out all the multi-flora rows. So they asked for an order of conditions that allowed the cutting of it up to the tree line that was out there. And they went in and did that. And of course, now we have the subdivision as it's constructed. And we now have a invasive species management plan for the 50-foot buffer all the way around. And I'm meeting with the homeowners on Wednesday night, tomorrow night, to go over what their responsibilities are, so that the ones that are already moved in there, there's, I think, maybe three houses that people already have moved into that want to meet and find out what they need to do for the invasive species management. It's all clearly written out what they have to do, but they need to have some explanation. So that's why I'm meeting with them tomorrow night. So on this one, I have no issue granting a full certificate of compliance with no surety required.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
No.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for the invasive removal.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, Greg.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Yep, same to you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, John, any invoices?
We have no invoices. We will next meeting, but none tonight.
Okay, is there anything else to be brought up that's not on the agenda?
I just wanted to mention that late today, I got an email from the attorney on the Hasiotis property down on South Elm Street. I informed him that I wanted to talk to him about a possible purchase of some of the residual land, and he, in his email, mentioned that he'll give me a call next week. So
Good.
I'll keep you updated on that one. But that's it.
All right. Okay. Anybody have anything else?
No.
I really like the ideas of the surety bonds. You know, developers theoretically have got plenty of money to, you know, and if they don't, they're really under, you know, they're under capitalized.
They're going to walk away no matter what.
Right. But the Pearl Road, Luka States, you know, why do we give them the design and then they do what they want? I don't get that part.
And even to make changes, they do happen, but there's a reason. Come before us and let us know up front instead of
Right.
saying at the last minute pleading, well, we had to do it, but we need our certificate because we need to sell the lots. Well,
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah,
that's
and
how
then
it works.
we've let a lot of things go in the past, but I don't think we can afford to do it anymore.
No, and again, like I said, especially if we are going to be taking responsibility for these roads and these drainage systems and the stormwater management part of it, that we need to make sure that they're going to function and they're built the way we were proposed to be built. So I think, yeah, Lorraine
And
will
then
surely
leaving-
go on from now on.
Leaving those fences on those two pieces of property till absolute last and haven't been done yet makes you wonder if and when they would ever get done.
Right.
Yep. So the comment that we always have is, did they read the order of conditions? And they pick it up and we ask them to review it and ask any questions when they pick it up. That's why we have them come to the office and sign for it, so that they have every opportunity to read the order of conditions and ask questions. On the lamp post, I'm going to have the engineer, the developer, and the contractor for the developer if it's going to be different, but I think they do their own contracting. But I'm going to have them sit down and say, we're going to go over this item by item, and if you don't understand it, tell me, otherwise we're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And I think they get this piece of paper that has all your signatures and the pages of special conditions that we try to prevent things from happening by putting them in as conditions. And they look at it like, this is my permit, and they go and start working and doing whatever they want. So we've got to draw the line somewhere here. We're not hard to get along with. You do the thing the right way, we're more than happy to meet you halfway. You know, if there's an issue, like say, for example, the order of condition says, before you do any work, do this. Well, maybe the sequence of the season, the growing season, whatever it might be, doesn't match up with eventually when this thing starts to get rolling.
Right.
And I'm willing to work with the people, but they got to come in and they've got to talk about it, not just go ahead and do it without consulting. And if it's something major, I'm coming back to you guys to say, do you want to consider it a major change, or do you want to be involved with it? But most of the time it's just minor things, but that's if they do bother asking. And some are working with us pretty closely now, but I think what we have to do is set the tone, and I think we did tonight.
Is Scotland Street underway, John?
They have been out marking all of the erosion control barriers, and we'll be putting them in the end of this week, the beginning of next. And Wednesday during the day, I have a on-site meeting with a developer to go over any issues with the erosion control, and the engineer's got to certify it as well. But we're meeting out there on Wednesday at 9 o'clock, I think it is, to go over and make sure all the erosion control's in where it should be. So yes, it started, and apparently it wasn't appealed.
Wow,
Meaning,
very good.
Meaning the 6 pages of special conditions and
Oh.
demand certain things. He must have said, okay.
I get you.
And everybody
Yeah.
else in the neighborhood must have looked at it and said, okay, there's enough teeth in it that we feel protected.
Yeah, actually, I think the commission's heard from a few people that they were pleased with what we did for them.
Good. All right.
All right.
Nobody has anything else. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor.
Aye.
So moved.